my video. I've been overwhelmed with questions about Warden. Is Warden good? Should we play Warden? What about Warden? So I thought I'd make a video explaining all the differences and pros and cons between Trickster and Warden and talk about what goes into that decision. Should you play Warden or should you play Trickster for Frostblades? So let's go through it. Raider got deleted, and the reason I never played Raider was because it was viable, like it was okay, but I thought it was always just inferior to Trickster because it didn't have enough damage, utility, or survivability to justify using it over Trickster, in my opinion. But Warden, on the other hand, has insane damage, it looks like. So it's a very compelling choice now. So let's just take a look at what you get from being a Trickster. You get 36 damage from Polymath as long as you have 12 masteries, which was easy to do. Which also gave you massive recovery on kill. You got 2 frenzy charges, which is about 10% more damage. Charge duration gave you big QOL. One step ahead gave you pseudo freeze and chill, ailment immunity. The action speed was kind of irrelevant, especially the less action speed for enemies because you already do that from chilling. And then I took Heartstopper, which gave you like a sort of janky, unreliable buff. You could have gone Soul Drinker too, but I didn't do that for a lot of reasons. But yeah, that's basically the package you got from Trickster. So in summary, you get about 53% more damage from Trickster. You get freeze and chill immunity. You get charge uptime, quality of life, and you got an unreliable defensive buff. And then you got tons of recovery on kill, which it's arguable that it's overkill because of how good Leech is. Warden, this is what you're going to get from Warden. You're going to get double Scorch, which, if it works the way that it appears like it works, is just going to be 60% less LE resist, which is unbelievably strong. You're going to get a stacking freeze duration buff, which is going to make you basically guaranteed freeze on almost everything, and then your freezes are going to last 2 seconds. Freeze is a very powerful defensive layer as well, and it's just going to enable heat shiver damage to just completely ramp, constantly. Oath of Spring is going to let you ramp shock up to 50 stacks as long as you can attack fast enough. It's still a little unclear how these stacks are going to work with duration and whether they're going to fall off independently of each other or not, but potentially you can get up to 100% increased damage taken from shock with this node. And then Avatar of the Wilds is going to be a stacking cooldown, basically that you have to ramp up by applying ailments. And you can apply ailments every 0.2 seconds or get stacks every 0.2 seconds. So it looks like you are going to have at least about a 7-second ramp time minimum to proc this. And then it lasts for 10 seconds. But you get 80% more damage for those 10 seconds. So it looks like it has about a 58% uptime for an average of about 46% more damage, roughly. So, close to 50% more damage on average. And then there's some bark skin stuff, which it will be good if you go armor, and then there's some tincture stuff, which might be a meme depending on what the tincture mods are. We haven't seen them yet. So quick summary, basically, Warden just gets like insane damage, like 300+% more damage from all that package combined, which is just ridiculous. And then, so here's some other stuff to consider between the two builds. The tree is going to be pretty much the same between the two. The Warden tree wouldn't be the same, but I'm saying the pathing to the access to all the stuff on the tree will be basically the same. Scorch on Warden is going to require fire damage before you have a heat shiver. Whereas on the Trickster, you didn't need fire damage before you had a heat shiver. But to get Scorch, if you don't have a heat shiver, you're going to have to use like cold to fire support or have fire damage on your claw. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get Scorches. And you can also enable you to use Trinity if you use Cold to Fire, which will be very good before getting Heat Shiver. And then once you do have a Heat Shiver, the fire damage from Heat Shiver will be more than enough to max out Scorch, at least I think. Shock differences. If you have Yoke on the Trickster, you're going to get max shocks easily. But without Yoke, you kind of don't really get good shocks on Trickster. But on Warden, you're going to be able to ramp your shock up really high, even without Yoke, because you're only going to have to apply a 2% shock per hit, and 2% shock is like less than a minimum shock. So as long as you have like one lightning damage mod anywhere, then you're going to be able to ramp your shocks to the moon, which is very, very strong. Ailments is going to have to be a thing for Warden. The redemptions are still on. you're going to have to at least get freeze and chill immunity at a minimum. So you're going to have to, if you don't get just full out ailment immunity, you're going to have to at least go Brine King and get cannot be chilled on boots, like at a minimum. And then if you don't go ailment immunity, ignites and shocks and other ailments, you can decide to go ailment immunity, at your own discretion. In the past, I didn't usually go ailment immunity because your life recovery was so good that you didn't care about ignites, and shock was just kind of something you had to deal with as a softcore Andy. Frostblaze is very bursty, around elusive, so this is another thing to consider. Warden's damage is going to come from Unbound Fury, a lot of it, which is a cooldown that's going to have around 50% uptime ish, and it's going to feel kind of like focus, double damage while focused before. So if you didn't like using focus as a cooldown before, then you might not like Warden because it's practically the same thing. Essentially, that's how it's going to play. It's going to play like focus cooldown. And timing it around your elusive proccing is how you're going to min-max it, especially if you're fighting a pinnacle boss or something. Oath of Winter is going to allow you to freeze almost no matter how much cold damage you have. So this could enable Trinity to be usable in the build again, because before you wanted to stack as much cold damage as possible to still get as much fire damage from Heat Shiver, which you're probably still going to want to do. But it's possible that going Trinity could be viable on Warden. I need to POB it more. This is just kind of a disclaimer. So another thing Warden has going for it is that it's the spicy new hotness, right? It's the cool new thing. We've never seen it before. It looks like it's overtuned like crazy. And so it's always fun to try new and different stuff, especially in a league when there's not really new pinnacle content, and the league could get stale really quick if the garrison city building thing turns out to be boring. So that's that. And then also if it fails, if it turns out to be bad, or if they nerf it like week 1 or something, you could always just play Trickster because we know Trickster is going to be good. So basically, the choice between Trickster and Warden is going to boil down to: do you want to have like insane amounts of damage, which it looks to me like close to 300% more damage, or do you want to have freeze and chill immunity, charge uptime, kill well, and sort of janky defensive buff and Heartstopper? That's your choice, which to me it seems like a pretty easy one. I have decided I'm going to go Warden for 325. I'm going to try it out. The damage looks like it's too damn good to not try out and use. The defenses and stuff we'll have to get elsewhere, or we just won't get any defenses and be a glass cannon softcore Andy. So I'm going to be doing lots of POBing on stream tomorrow. We're gonna put together the whole build, and I'm going to put out a new league start guide video and the POB sometime in the next few days before the league. So keep your eyes out for that. The Trickster build is going to be virtually the same. The only big difference is going to be there's not going to be totems anymore, which means you're going to need less strength, which is good. You're going to have more gem slots, no totem cluster jewels. You might want to prioritize Fizz more on your claw because of the changes to quality and hatred and also War Banner. You're going to want to add War Banner because War Banner is going to be a free damage cooldown. Taste of Hate, Fizz Taken has got nerfed, so Taste of Hate's pretty much bad now. You're going to want to use another flask instead. Maybe Progenesis if you can afford it late game, but in the meantime, probably just another magic flask. You're probably going to want to fit endurance charges in somehow, since endurance charges are really good now, and since you don't have Fizz Taken as anymore. And then tinctures are also added to the game, which could be good, but we haven't really seen all the mods, so it's unclear still at this time. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm going to be playing Warden. Trickster's still going to be good. I think the Warden's going to have like ridiculous damage, so I'm going to try it out. And yeah, that's it. So I'm going Warden. Subscribe to the channel. Follow the channel for more build updates. I'm going to be streaming this league a lot. I'll be putting out some build update videos to tell you guys what I'm doing and how the build progresses and stuff. I'm also going to be doing a private league for 325, a group self-found private league. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned for another video with more details about that. If you want to join in, it was really fun last league. It's going to be a lot of fun this league. And follow the stream, twitch.tv/dishpoe. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. And I'll catch you next time. Have fun in the league.